How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It is Joshua Theo, and I am excited to bring this inspirational message to you today, turning the negative into the positive. Now, what I've experienced in my life so far of being able to speak with people from all around the nation and being able to speak with people around the world is that many people struggle with this negative mindset and they don't know how they have got to be in this area of life they're in. Many people go through life and they believe that it is normal to always be negative. Now, there is a law called the law of polarity, which means there is two sides to everything. Right here, there's two sides to your hand. There's two sides to your head. There's two sides to a piece of paper. There's two sides of a negative and a positive. So that means that yes, there is negative in life, but it is how you go about the negative. But always when there is negative, that also lets us know with the law of polarity that there certainly is a positive. It's so much easier for people to fall into the negative headspace instead of simply looking at the positive. And the way you're going to begin to win in life is when you begin to choose where your focus is focused. And I choose to put mine on the positive, even in all life's negative situations, because you can simply focus on the negative and be negative, or you can focus on the positive, be aware of the negative. You're not clueless, you know it's there, but you choose to focus on the positive. Because in life, you have the opportunity and the choice to focus on what you choose to focus on. But when you choose to take that negative and you choose to ingest it and digest it and then go and allow it to basically flow out of you in all ways there is possible, you can guarantee and count on it that your whole entire atmosphere that surrounds you is going to be negative. And a couple ways how you can begin to change this and even to identify it is look who you have around you. How they say birds of a feather flock together. Well, all you got to do is look at your flock. Look who's around you. Look who's attracted to you. If you find that you have these people who are toxic, or you find these people who are usually negative and they're all around you, that might right there be a source of why you are the way you are, or maybe shows you that change needs to come not just from within you, but from one around you. Because I tell people often, in order for you to win, you have to change within. Everything comes with inner and then it goes outer. You can't expect the outer to change, but you never change on the inner. A lot of people say, oh, I just want a fresh start. I want to start over. I want to move, and they want to move. They want to go to maybe a different country or just a different state or even a different city. But the only issue with this is that once you get to that new place, yes, things may look different. And yes, it may seem fresh for a little while, but give it a little bit time, because if you are the issue and you are the core problem in your own life, that means that your mind, your mentality has now traveled with you from where you once were to now this new area. You're new in the area, but the old mind is still within you. That's why Christ said that you must get renewed and you must be transformed in your mind. There's things that have to be let go of until you can finally go above. You cannot go and expect the change in your life until you begin to change on the inside. But people usually will go and try to take the easier way out and just try to run from it. But this is the thing, is that when you are the source of the negative in your life, it's hard to run from what is always going to be running with you. You have to start right here in your mind. And when you start in your mind and you change up there, everywhere you go can be a beautiful place in life. And when you go to these new places, you're going to attract and you're going to find these other great, beautiful people, and you're going to be able to see the beauty that God has made in everything. For instance, here in Atlanta, Georgia, where I am, there is a land that is so beautiful here. So many great things. The weather's amazing. So many great, amazing people. So many great, amazing things to do. And as I continue to meet so many people here for the 4 years I've been, I meet all different types of people, but I meet two different types of minds. And one mind ends up seeing the positive and the beauty that I see. And then the other mind, it's not an in between, it's the exact opposite. They see the negative, they see the bad. And do I also see it? Yes, because I'm aware of it, but that's not where my focus is. If you ask me, what do I see? I choose to focus on the beautiful, positive things I see. And then these other people, they choose to focus and speak on the negative things. So, how can you begin to change this? Well, like I said earlier, one is beginning to just look at your surroundings, who you have in your circle, because what is in you has came from what has been around you. And then now what has gotten into you is going to form what stays in your atmosphere. So our ears and our eyes, what we see, what we are watching, movies, music videos, areas we're going in life, whether it's clubs or parties or bars, or even the good places in life that you can find yourself in, we're intaking all this information into our eyes, and we're planting seeds directly into our mind field. And then what you're listening to, what conversations are you engaging in, what TV shows are you watching, what movies are you watching? You're literally watching and then listening to these audios and having these conversations, and all of this junk pouring right into your ears. And if it's a bunch of negative talk or a bunch of drama or a bunch of things that aren't of righteousness or aren't of things that's going to prevail you to put you on a better path, that is still getting planted in your mind field. You see, it doesn't matter what kind of seed that you plant, it's going to get planted. And what happens when you plant a seed, it naturally grows, whether it's negative or positive. So you can't continue to always pour into your own mind field and plant all these seeds of negativity and then expect a positive life. That's not how it works. What is planted is what's going to grow. So if you go and plant an orange seed, you're going to get oranges on the tree. If you plant the banana seed, you're going to get bananas on the tree. If you go and exhale out, you're going to need to exhale in. If you go and throw a ball up in the air, the ball is going to come down. There is laws that we're surrounded by that God has set up, and there is things that are automatic. Just like when God says, give and ye shall receive. A lot of people in life just want to receive, but you messed up the law because the first part says give and then ye shall receive. So if you want to have positivity in your life, you need to be going and putting yourself in it. Because once you put yourself in the positivity, out will flow out of you. Put the positivity in, and then the positivity will flow out. You put the positivity in, it'll be in your mind. It'll cultivate you. And then positivity will come out, meaning your outward of what you see. Now what you see is beautiful. Now what you see is a positive. Now what you are seeing is no longer the negative. You're going to be aware, but you're going to be able to also focus on what's different. So a lot of our core issues are our own self. But people don't self-examine. People don't like to take that step and think, oh, maybe it's me. People would rather go and take the easier way out and point the fingers. I remember I worked at this job one time, and there was this lady, she gave this example and I loved it. And she said, just make for sure you know when you're pointing your finger at everything else, you got this finger pointing at everything else what you're blaming, and really right underneath, you got three fingers pointing right back at you. So while you're trying to point and call out everything else out, right underneath that's hidden that you try not to see is actually the three fingers pointing at the main source. So we got to start realizing where the source is. And until you attack the root, you're always going to get the same type of fruit. And if you want a different fruit, you got to change the root. You can't just go through life like a flower bed, and when you get a bunch of weeds in it, you're just pulling off the top of the weeds so you don't see it anymore. You actually have to get a little dirty. You got to get your fingers in there and you got to pull out the root, because once you get the root, now the area is clean. Now the area is not going to be able to grow back in that same form. But this is how people deal with things in life. They want to just clip off the top so it looks good for other people, but then let time go. And then those weeds are coming up and even coming up in different areas again, but they may look different, but they're still the same weed. That's how people deal with their problems. They want to go and just brush them away, try to drink alcohol or take drugs or keep their minds busy to try to stay off the problem. And then eventually they'll move past past it. But then now what you have done is put this in your mind field, or people call it your subconscious mind. And then as you continue to live, that issue of that root of that problem is going to continue to come back up in different areas of your life. It may look different, but it's still rooted to the same thing you kept ignoring. You find new people coming into your life, of new people for different relationships, but yet you stay seeming like you finding the same issue in all these people. But maybe the issue is from you, and it was actually rooted back to that one relationship that you never dealt with. Maybe you have something in your life that's keeping you from wanting to be successful at a different level in a certain area of life, but really there's this fear, or there's something of a traumatic experience that happened before in your life that you've still never dealt with. You try to just push it to the side, and you try to just clip it off the top so you didn't see it anymore, but really that weed of that root is still within you, and you've never been able to move past yet and fully walk into become who you've been called to become, because you were still rooted to this issue. And until you uproot it, you're never going to fully become and prevail in all the areas and ways that God has called you to. So if you really want this change in life, we have to examine self. We have to look inner, and then our better will become outer. And this is another great example of, I remember even when I was a child, when I used to watch, if my parents or anybody ever watched a scary movie, maybe people be able to relate to this. You watch a scary movie and then you don't want to go to sleep right away because you like, oh man, now I'm gonna go have nightmares, or, I'm gonna be in bed all alone and it's dark. I remember as a young kid, whenever they would do that, I would always request for them to put on a comedy movie or something that was funny afterwards. So that was what would be fresh in my mind. So instead of going to sleep on this haunted terror movie, I would go to sleep on something that made me laugh and that was comical. Because if you only put in negative, again, the negative is what's going to survive. But I knew as a young kid still, I said, no, I don't want that in me. I want to have this funny in me. I want to have this comical in me so I can go and get some better sleep at night. But as an example, again, that is you're putting both in. Oil don't mix with water. You really want to have a life of fruition, bringing into fruition of all the positivity. Stick to always putting the positivity in you. Don't put some negative and then just try to cover it up. Again, I was a child at that age. I didn't have much choice. But that is an example that I know other people can relate to. And another situation I want to share with you about how focusing on the negative and focusing on the positive, I call it the social media complex. A lot of people go through life nowadays, as we're in a social media world, and they will make a post on social media, right? They'll make a post that they enjoyed because they posted it. And then they will go and get, say, 30 or 50 or whatever your following is. You'll go and get 30 people that like this social media post, right? You get 30 people that like it. And then you'll get one person that laughs at it. And then you'll click on that. Who's laughing? You'll see the one person that's laughing, and then you'll be upset. And some people will let that one person ruin the rest of their day, because that person will now live in their mind, and they will focus on that one person. With now disregarding, you have 30 other people that literally love and they enjoy and they're supporting what you're doing and what you said. But instead of magnifying those 30 people, you disregarded them, and then now you magnify this one person, which is most likely probably some hater. And now you are magnifying the hater and the hate in your life, but you're disregarding the 30 other people that are showing you love in your life. We do this so much because it's so easy to be distracted and focus on the negative. But if we would begin to magnify the positive, we would see that the negative begins to dissipate. It dissolves. We know it's there, but it's no longer our focus. And if we would begin to focus on the people that do have our back, focus on the people that do love us, instead of trying to make others love us who we want to love and who we want to love us, but we focus on the ones who already do love us, life will be so much greater. We'll be able to focus on the positive. We'll be able to have those people that have our back. We'll be able to have that motivation that they will be there for us and we will be there for them. And we can create this great community around us. And as you continue to create that community, more people are going to come in because there's other people out there just like you who want what you want, but they still don't know how either. They still don't know how to cultivate that and change that in their life. And that's why I'm hoping this right here helps you, along with other speakers and people that you hear. You just have to continue to allow yourself to be fully just in the area and in the surroundings of the positivity. Whatever you entertain most is going to contain you. They say entertainment is containment. And I say whatever you consume most consumes you. So if you are consuming all this negative, you're going to be negative. But if you start consuming all this positivity, you're going to be positive. If you consume self-education, if you want to start learning about money, you're going to have knowledge about money. You want to end up consuming and learning how to be more loving and how to be more caring. If you start learning and reading the books and listening to the speakers, you're going to be more loving and more caring. If you want a better spiritual life with the Lord, you start seeking God first and all his righteousness, you're going to end up seeing all this come to fruition in your life. But the choice is yours. And you cannot have the change you want until you change yourself. And always remember, consistency gets the victory. Y'all got it. Let's turn that negative into a positive lifestyle. Make sure you drop a comment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you know every time I got new videos coming up. God bless y'all. I'll see you in the next one.